This morning we learned the unemployment rate was essentially unchanged last month. Wages have gone down, and the economy's lost 20,000 more jobs. That's 260,000 jobs lost since the beginning of the year. That's 260,000 more Americans who won't have a paycheck to help them cover the rising costs of health care and child care, gas, and groceries. This news is troubling, but it's not surprising because in recent months we've seen the problems in our economy grow worse and worse. Now, a big part of why so many folks are struggling is that Washington hasn't been looking out for them. For too long, we've had a politics that's been more about scoring points than solving problems. And we had a good example of this lately. Obviously, myself and Senator Clinton and John McCain have been in a debate about the so-called gas tax holiday. At best, this is a plan that would save you pennies a day for the summer months. That is, unless gas prices are raised to fill in the gap, which is just what happened in Illinois when we tried this a few years ago. Just this morning, there was an article in the paper about how the real beneficiaries of this tax holiday would be the oil companies who would walk away with billions more in profits. Meanwhile, unless you can magically impose a windfall profits tax on oil companies overnight to pay for the holiday, it could imperil federal highway funding and cost Indiana up to 6,000 jobs. Now, the two Washington candidates in the race have been attacking me because I don't support their idea. In fact, yesterday, Senator Clinton demanded that everyone go on the record on this issue. She even borrowed one of George Bush's favorite phrases and said that every member of Congress had to tell her, are they with us or against us? Well, people have been weighing in. And you know what? It turns out that people want to be on the side of the American people and on the side of the truth. They don't want to be for something that is such an obvious election year gimmick. They don't want to line up behind an idea that's more about trying to get a few votes than get you meaningful relief. Speaker Pelosi said she's against the McCain-Clinton gas tax gimmick because it won't pass savings on to consumers. And I'm quoting, "It will defeat everything we've tried to do to lower the cost of oil," unquote. Steny Hoyer rejected the idea, saying it would not be positive. Tom Harkin, a senator who knows a thing or two about working people and the challenges they faced here in the Midwest, said he can't be for it because there's no guarantee that it will put money in the pockets of our consumers. You might think that there's more support for it in Senator Clinton's home state, but her own supporter, Governor Patterson, said he's against it because the benefits of the tax cut doesn't go directly to consumers. Instead, it goes to the oil companies. Senator Clinton does have some support for a plan in Congress. After all, the person who first proposed it was John McCain. So I guess when she says, "Are you with us or against us?" Senator Clinton is referring to her and John McCain. That's one vote she's got, because on this issue, Hillary Clinton and John McCain are reading from the same political playbook. This isn't a real solution. It's a political stunt. This is what Washington does whenever there's a big problem. Politicians pretend they're looking out for you, but they're just looking out for their poll numbers. Senator Clinton's own staff even told the Washington Post that they knew the idea might not make much of a difference for you, but it could make a big difference for her campaign. And when the Clinton campaign was pressed to find a single expert who supported her plan, I'm not making this up, they put her campaign pollster on the phone to talk about how the idea polls well. What Americans need isn't an idea that polls well. What you need is real change. What you need is leadership you can trust, and that's what I'm offering. I'm tired of seeing us lose so many jobs month after month, year after year. When I'm president, we'll stop giving tax breaks to companies that ship jobs overseas and start giving them to companies that create good-paying jobs here at home. We'll focus on long-term job growth. Rather than put highway funding at risk, like my opponents are proposing, I have a plan to invest in our infrastructure and create millions of new jobs in the process. And I have a plan to invest in our green energy sector that will create up to 5 million new jobs, and those are jobs that pay well and cannot be outsourced. Now, obviously, we do have a concern with rising costs. I've been meeting people all across the state of Indiana and North Carolina and all across the country that are struggling with rising gas prices and grocery prices, and that's why I've been a proponent of the biggest middle-class tax cut of any candidate. It would mean real savings for working families, struggling homeowners, and seniors. We also need to address our economic woes at their source, the housing crisis. Nearly 2 years ago, I introduced legislation to crack down on predatory lenders and mortgage fraud, legislation that could have prevented this crisis from escalating. And I've called on Washington to help homeowners refinance their mortgages so they can stay in their homes. Let me just sum up by saying this. It's time to stop with the political stunts and start offering some real solutions. And that's what I've been doing throughout this campaign, and that's what I intend to do when I'm President of the United States of America.